Every serious chess player needs a place, a file to put their games. You could call it my games as an example, right? And one of the interesting things is before we had places to put our games, before ChessBase came around in like 1998, right? We had notebooks to put opening research into, the analysis of our games, and it was very unwieldy. You have maybe a shoebox of game scores, right? Then they're all over the place. And without the file to put them into, you don't really have a conscientious sense of, oh, I'm analyzing my games deeply, I'm working on them, this is the history, this is the work that I am doing, the most important part of the work as a chess player. Now, in addition to a file called My Games, when you are around 1500, let's say, you should begin to have some files dealing with openings, right? And there you're going to want to have a database of all kinds of master level games. And you are going to want to have access maybe to computer to check certain things, right? And to work on those files. So those are the needs. Now let's take a look at how some of these sites work and how the dojo is doing it and what the dream of the dojo is. Okay, so let's start with ChessBase. It was a big deal when it came out in 1998. For me, it was 1998. I was around, I think, before that. But it started to become popular around that time with chess players. It hasn't changed much. It gave the ability to have a file called My Games, right? And then to have all kinds of different opening files. It's definitely unwieldy, right? It's, 1998. It was amazing when it happened, but it's not really something that's easy to share. It's very difficult to share things with other people. When I do my games database here, and I did it for decades, it was like a solipsistic exercise. It was just for myself, right? I wasn't giving it to a database like the Dojo database where people are going to look at what I've done, give comments, feedback, and that's what Botvinnik said we should be doing, right? And so it's a great thing that I forced myself to do it, but even better if I can publish it. That's a key part of the My Games feature. Okay, another problem here is it's very expensive. And especially for students I've had over the years, they've been kind of confused when they got a little stronger. I was like, well, you should have something like ChessBase, but it's very expensive. And even just getting the recent games, getting them to update the recent database, it's in hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year just to have this thing. Okay, so there's ChessBase. And let's go take a look at, first let's start with ChessCom. So you start over here at ChessCom, and the first thing to see is very hard to even find the library. You have to know to hit more and then hit library, and then you get this unwieldy thing. Now, ChessCom earlier, a couple years ago, had a different version out that it was pushing. It was also very unwieldy. It's very hard to use. This thing is no better. And I think part of it is ChessCom is focusing its identity brand on really blitz and quick chess. And when you're doing blitz and quick chess, you're not really like studying your own games that deeply. Why would you need something like this? And if you were doing openings, I think what chess.com would like is if you want to do openings, then we'll send you to Chessable where you can buy a course over there. So very unwieldy. Contrast that to Lichess. And Lichess, I think one of their best things they've done is they've created these studies. And these are some of my studies I contribute to. These are also the ones I've created. And I can share them with other people. I can keep them private if I like. There can be different contributors. And the only problem really, especially with something like My Games, is I only get 64 in a study. So if I have, I have to have My Games 1, My Games 2, and so on. But in general, especially if you don't want to pay for anything, this thing is great. Mostly easy to use. A small learning curve, but definitely possible to do. With both Chess.com and Lichess, if you want to be serious about opening analysis and use a high-level computer, it's not going to really work because the browser computer thing that they have isn't great. Which is why a lot of high-level chess players are either using their local computer, as I've been doing for years, and some are using a cloud computer. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the dojo. So this is what the Dojo Files looks like. Couple easy things. If I want to move things around, I can. You can see it's basically what I had in ChessBase, a My Games file, ChessDojo aggressive repertoire for white, a lame-o London, in contrast, some French Rogozin and Queen's Indian thrown in there too. So what? My Games opening files. That's all you need, right? Now, this is very cool and dynamic. One thing, for example, let's say I want to add something. I can add a new folder, so a subfolder, as many as I like, a new game, right? Or my existing games. So the games I've already uploaded, and many in the dojo already have done this, right? Can simply go in there, click, and then these are a bunch of games I've already downloaded. I click on them, boom, and then they're in there, right? Fantastic. Now, one of the things that's also very nice is that, let's say I want to use the database. I click over here. This is a game of David Proust, Sensei in the Dojo. And super cool about this is we have a dojo database, so the games played in the dojo, a master's database, the Lichess database, and the table base, which is his own special thing when you get to one of these positions with 7 pieces or less, where it just distills the truth for you, right? The masters, though, of course, is the one you'd be doing if you're doing, say, opening work, right? And you can click through this, and one of the things I really love about this is when you do this in ChessBase on your computer, it takes forever. And the thing will crash. That's another problem with ChessBase. The thing is always crashing because it's demanding so much energy from your computer. Much easier to have an online format, right? Another cool thing that I can do here, just as an example, is let's say I wanted to add a file. Okay, I'll say new folder, and we'll call it Proust's Games, right? Proust's Games. There we go. We'll create this one, right? And then if I want to click this, for example, I say add, and I say add current game, done, right? So at any time I want to add a game to one of these files, I'm looking at it, maybe I find it interesting, boom. Or maybe I've just annotated one of my own games. I want to add it to my Games folder, boom, it's done, right? Very simple and easy to do. So, the user interface, very simple. And let me talk a little bit about the dreams of this file system going forward. So, a while back, end of 21, I did an opening vid called How to Study Openings in 2022, right? And that was about this process. It's very difficult. I had to do a whole vid because it was hard to explain. And it's almost like it's purposely hard to do, is you make your opening file, let's say on ChessBase. You can use the computer there. It's just going to be a local computer, right, on your computer. And then move it over to Chessable, and Chessable makes it very hard to do, and then you can train it there. It's a beautiful thing to train your opening files. Well, Chessable makes it hard to do, right, because they want you to buy their own courses. So the dream of the dojo that this file system now gives us the basis to do is, one, very soon we're going to have our own computer, right? It will be hopefully it's going to be a cloud computer, and then if you don't want to pay extra for that, that's fine. We can get you the browser. Also, just are very strong. The browser these days is a very strong alternative, right? Okay. Once you have that, then you can use the computer with the database to create your own opening files. And then, right, we're going to have our own openings trainer, And then with a click of a button, it's just going to be so magic. Boom. So instead of all that hassle, which, oh my gosh, I have lost so much. It's caused me so much grief, the process of moving files over there. And oh my gosh, Chessable makes it so hard, right? We're going to have our own openings trainer so that all of these things are going to be in one place. So much easier to use. So there it is, this beautiful file system, and then hopefully also the dream of what is going to come next. So stay tuned.